The cold bites your cheeks before you even open your eyes. Your breath hangs in the air like a ghost. You're awake because your body says it's time, not because a sound or a light told you to be. For most of human history, this was how every morning began. But this morning is different. This is the morning you become a mammoth hunter. You are 20 years old, give or take. You have no birth certificate, no calendar, no clock. Your entire life has been measured in seasons, migrations, and the slow waxing and waning of the moon. Your people have followed the great herds for generations. Your grandmother remembers her grandmother's stories of the time before the ice retreated. You know the land by touch, by smell, by the way the wind shifts before a storm. You know the mammoths too. You have watched them since you were small enough to ride on your mother's hip. You have seen them calve in spring. You have seen them fight in autumn. You have seen the old bulls wander off alone to die. And now, you are about to walk up to one and kill it. Your hands are cold. Your feet are wrapped in hide and stuffed with dry grass. Your tunic is sewn from reindeer skin, stitched with sinew, waterproofed with brains. You are wearing the bones of animals you have already eaten. There is no store to buy gear. There is no list to check off. You made everything you carry with your own 2 hands. Your spear is not just a spear. It is a shaft of birchwood you straightened over fire. A point of flint you knapped for 3 days. A groove you carved to hold a sliver of mammoth ivory as a barb. You have named it. You don't tell anyone that. But you have named it. You step out of your shelter. It is not a house. It is a dome of woolly rhinoceros hides stretched over a frame of young birch trunks. Held down by stones and frozen earth. Inside, your people huddle for warmth. Outside, the world is white and gray and endless. The sky is the color of milk. The sun is a pale coin that barely clears the horizon. You are in the steppe tundra of Ice Age Europe, and it is minus 20 degrees Celsius. Your nose runs. Your eyelashes freeze. You feel the cold in your bones, but you do not shiver. Shivering wastes energy, and energy is life. You have learned to let the cold sit in your body like a patient guest. You join the men at the edge of camp. There are no words. There are grunts, gestures, a tilt of the head toward the valley below. You see them, the mammoths. A herd of about 15, moving slow, their dark bodies like boulders walking. They are huge. You have known that since you were a child. But knowing and facing are 2 different things. A bull mammoth stands over 11 feet at the shoulder. It weighs 8 tons. That is 16,000 pounds. Your spear weighs about 3. Your entire hunting party weighs less than 1 mammoth combined. You have no armor. You have no horses. You have no dogs. You have only your legs, your fear, your memory of every hunt that went wrong. And the desperate hope that this one will go right. Anthropologist James Suzman, in his work on human foraging, notes that hunter-gatherers spend remarkably little time in direct pursuit of food. But when they do, their focus is absolute. The hunt is not a sport. It is not recreation. It is the most dangerous work a human can do. You begin to move. You move like smoke. You know the wind must stay in your face. The mammoths have poor eyesight but extraordinary smell. A single wrong gust will warn them, and they will scatter like stones thrown into water. You crouch. You crawl. You step on the balls of your feet. You place each foot exactly where no twig will snap. You have practiced this since you were 5. Your father would take you into the brush and make you approach a sleeping reindeer without waking it. If it woke, you didn't eat that day. You learned fast. Now, you are not approaching a reindeer. You are approaching a beast that can crush you with a casual step. You feel your heart in your throat. Your body is doing something ancient. Your pupils dilate. Your blood vessels constrict in your extremities and open in your core. Your liver releases glucose into your bloodstream. Your brain dims all non-essential thought. There is no yesterday. There is no tomorrow. There is only the next step, the next breath, the next heartbeat. You are not a person anymore. You are a weapon. You are a point of flint moving through grass. This is not a metaphor. Neuroarchaeologist Emiliano Bruner has shown that the human brain expanded dramatically during the Pleistocene, not just for social intelligence, but for something called spatial cognition. Your brain is literally better at tracking moving objects than almost any other animal. You were built for this. You reach the edge of the ridge. Below you, the herd grazes. A cow mammoth tears up sedge with her trunk. She is calm. She is chewing. She has no idea you are here. You cannot feel sorry for her. Sorry gets you killed. You and the other hunters arrange yourselves in a half circle. You have no spoken plan. You have signals. A finger raised. A hand flattened. A nod that means now. The oldest hunter, the one who has killed more mammoths than anyone, raises his spear. He looks at you. He smiles. It is not a kind smile. It is the smile of a man who has already died 100 times in his own mind and keeps coming back. He nods. You move. You run. Your feet pound the frozen ground. Your breath comes in clouds. You are screaming. You don't realize you are screaming until you hear it bouncing off the ice cliffs. The mammoths turn. They trumpet. It is a sound that goes through you like a saw. The calf runs toward its mother. The bulls form a wall. You have trained for this. You keep running. You have to get close. Close enough to drive your spear into the flank, between the ribs, into the lungs. You cannot throw. A spear thrown from distance will bounce off their thick hide and layers of fat. You have to thrust. You have to feel the hide tear. You have to see the blood. One of the men goes down. You don't see him fall. You see the bull swing its tusks and the man disappears. You keep running. You have no time for grief. Grief comes later. You reach the cow. She is turning, trying to protect her calf. You see her eye. It is dark, wet, the size of your fist. She looks at you. She knows what you are. You drive your spear into her side. It goes in 6 inches and stops. She screams. The sound is not a trumpet. It is a scream, pure and awful. You pull the spear back and drive it again. This time, the flint finds a gap between ribs. The spear slides in. You feel the warmth of her body on your hand. She stumbles. She tries to run. Her leg buckles. You step back. You are shaking. Your whole body is shaking. You cannot stop. The other hunters close in. Another spear. Another. The cow falls. The ground shakes when she hits it. You stand over her. She is still breathing. Her eye is still looking at you. You look back. You don't close her eyes. You don't apologize. You have no words for what you just did. Archaeologists have found mammoth kill sites across Europe and Siberia. Places like Dolna Vistanice in modern-day Czechia, where the remains of over 100 mammoths were found alongside stone tools. They were not killed all at once. They were killed over generations, by people exactly like you. You do not know what a country is. You do not know what a year is. You do not know that your descendants will one day stand in museums and stare at your tools through glass. You do not know anything except that you are alive, the mammoth is dead, and your people will eat. The butchery begins. It is not pretty. You cut through fat that is 6 inches thick. You hack through sinew like steel cable. You crack the ribs with stones to get at the organs. The heart is the size of your head. The liver is even larger. You eat the liver raw, still warm. It tastes like iron and earth and something you cannot describe. You have no cooking fire. Not yet. Fire is too dangerous this close to the hunt. You eat quickly, with your hands, with your teeth, with no thought of manners. Within hours, the mammoth is stripped. The meat is cut into slabs. The fat is separated and stuffed into the cow's own stomach, now a natural bag. The bones are broken for marrow. The hide is rolled, heavy and stiff, smelling of blood and sweat. The ivory tusks are prized beyond gold, not because they are beautiful, but because they can be carved into spear points, needles, and figurines. You will carry pieces of this animal for years. You will wear its hide. You will sew with its sinew. You will cook with its fat. You will sleep on its bones. The mammoth will not just feed you. It will become your shelter, your clothing, your tools, your ritual, your memory. This is what it means to be a hunter-gatherer. Everything is one thing and also another thing. There is no waste. There is no trash. There is no recycling because there is no such thing as first use. You carry the meat back to camp. The women and children are already waiting. They have been gathering firewood, repairing the shelters, watching the horizon. Now they run to meet you. There is no applause. There are no high fives. There is only the quiet satisfaction of a job done right. Your mother looks at you. She does not say anything. She touches your face. She wipes a smear of blood off your cheek. You realize you are crying. You don't know when you started. You don't stop. The fire is lit. The meat is roasted on spits. The children gather around, their eyes wide, their mouths wet. You give them the first piece. This is the rule. The young eat first, then the old, then the hunters. You are the last to eat. You don't mind. You are too tired to be hungry. You sit by the fire. Your body aches. Your hands are blistered. Your shoulder is bruised from the recoil of your spear. You look at the stars. They are the same stars your grandmother saw. The same stars your grandchildren will see. You do not think about meaning. You do not think about purpose. You do not think about your life being part of a larger story. And yet, you are part of one. The story of how a small, fragile ape learned to kill the largest land animal on Earth. The story of how your kind survived ice, predators, starvation, and extinction. The story of how you became you. In 30,000 BC, there are roughly 2 million humans on the planet. You are one of them. You will not live to be 40. You will die of infection, injury, or simply the wearing down of your body. But tonight, you are alive. Tonight, there is meat in your belly and fire on your face and the sound of your people laughing. Tonight, you are not a hero. You are not a legend. You are just a person who did what needed to be done. You fall asleep by the fire. Your head rests on a pile of mammoth fat wrapped in leather. Your hand is still holding your spear. You do not dream. You are too tired to dream. In the morning, the cold will bite your cheeks again. You will wake because your body says it is time. No alarm, no schedule, no place you need to be. Except the next herd, and the one after that, and the one after that. Because that is what your ancestors did. That is what your children will do. And that is what your body still remembers, even now, under the soft sheets of your modern bed. You are a mammoth hunter, and you always have